Welcome back to the James Show, News Talk 820 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. We're starting with terrible news here. Charlie Kirk has been shot. Utah Valley State University. I've never heard of this university, but I've been digging furiously. This just happened minutes ago, and I already have like 18 different pieces of context I want to try and throw on this. First of all, I think maybe a lot of you don't know who Charlie Kirk is. If you're terminally online like me and your children, you know who he is. He's in all these viral videos. He is the guy that's the face of Turning Point USA, and he goes to college campuses, and he'll speak at their events, in an auditorium to the local chapter of Turning Point, which is sort of a conservative college campus organization. But he also does the thing that most of us see is he sets up a tent in the quad, and he has a microphone on a stand, and anyone can come up and ask him anything about any topic, and he'll debate anyone. And it's really just turned into sort of this impromptu thing where mostly people who disagree come up, try and tell him how awful he is or debate him on some sort of subject. And I don't know. I've never sat down and watched it for like an hour, but there's these little clips where, he's like just roasting someone. And it's one of those guys. It's like some people just like watching folks from the other side get roasted. And I get that, And so sometimes they add sound effects to it, and it'll show up in like TikTok, and it'll show up in just like these little 40-second clips where you just tell someone off, and there's like, another libtard roasting, something like that. So that's his bit. He's a little more harsh about it than I am. But he's been on this show plenty of times. If you've listened to the James Show for a long enough time, you've heard him. His sound clips make it on my show. He's been shot. Now, already, we have people who have shared clips of him getting shot on YouTube. I don't know how long it's going to be up. I pulled the audio, and I had to stop it. It's right before the shooting happens. And I stop it right after when they start running, and there's no cuss words in it. So you can kind of hear the shot. Now, let me set the scene for you. He's in some sort of, not just a quad. It's a giant area that's probably comparable in size to the Dos Equis Pavilion. And it looked like it was about full, meaning there was 2,000 people, it looks like, in this scenario. And the video is from really far away. But there's a white tent, just like the same ones you would take when you go to the soccer field and watch some games all day, and you're just going to set up. So it's got the 4 long legs, and it's just the part on top. And it looks like he's doing the thing I just described, where he's sitting in a chair, he's got a microphone in his hand, and people are coming up talking to him. South Park just recreated this last month. They were making fun of Charlie Kirk, and they were doing the thing where he asked the question, and then he puts the microphone down, and then he picks up the water bottle, and then he drinks it, and then he picks up the mic again, and then puts it down and drinks the water. And they had his mannerisms down perfectly. But if you can see, there's what looks like thousands of people there. Now, I'm not going to play the video over here on the stream, but I'll play the audio. I feel comfortable playing that. But in the video, you see him. He's talking. He's kind of laughing. He's a big dude. He's 6'5". And then you hear the bang, and at the same time, he kind of convulses. And then he sort of slides off his stool back into the side a little bit. So here it is.
Counting or not counting gang violence.
Oh my God. Go, run. Oh.
We have a problem. See, this is why a couple weeks ago, or what was that, last week, in the Minneapolis school shooting, there was a lot of people who were trying to make it, we have a problem with the trans community. No, that wasn't about the trans. It's just lefties, period. Sometimes it's a Free Palestine guy that's setting people on fire with a homemade flamethrower. Sometimes it is. Has some gender issues, shooting up a Christian school, killing kids while they're praying. Sometimes it's the guy they have in custody. This is a preliminary. This could be wrong. This is just what I heard Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins saying right before I turned my show on. Is the guy that looks like is in custody is an older white guy, bald. So, yeah, I don't know which flavor of leftism is doing this, whether it's on a train or at Utah Valley State University or praying in a Christian school or on the DART platform. But we have a problem with various branches on the Democrat constituency tree committing acts of violence. And I'm tired of being slandered for it. 800-288-9227. This is Tony in Aledo. You're on WBAP.
Hi. I called. Everything you just said, I totally agree with. But when you were saying Charlie is harsh and kind of smart aleck or whatever, I don't ever feel like he's that way. I feel like he is so considerate to the people like who you're talking about, all these lefties that come up and just try to slam him. But he is so reasonable with everything. And generally, I get that he's kind of got a little uppity about himself, but it's because he's so smart. He's just so stinking smart.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely devastated over this. I'm trying to get home so I can watch. I've been getting phone calls because, we all listen to him, and he just says what we all are thinking, common sense.
Well, I'm glad you're pushing back on that because I'm going to play the soundbite here, which I think is it's not abrasive to you and me, Tony, but this is what I'm talking about when he's a little harsh. More harsh than the average bear. He was talking about the Charlotte stabbing. I played this on Monday's show, so I already had it pulled. But this is what they're upset about him for right now.
White Ukrainian refugee was murdered just because she was white. Everybody knows that, obviously. If a random white person simply walked up to and stabbed a nice, law-abiding black person for no reason, it would be an apocalyptically huge national story used to impose national sweeping political changes on the whole country. Instead, Megan Basham, no one seems to care when a white woman gets stabbed to the death.
Yeah, so that's I think that's what they're upset about him now for, because there was a whole bunch.
Though I agree with him, he's right, and I'm tired. I look at George Floyd, and what happened with that, and now we're sitting here, and the whole thing. I agree with it, and I think it's absolutely we got to start speaking out and doing. I don't really protest, but I am so mad about this. I can't.
You should be. You should be.
His family and his kids, and he just fights for the righteous thing.
How many of us have to get shot and stabbed and then shot, and then our kids shot when they're at school, and our daughters stabbed when they're on the train, and our grandmothers are hit with a flamethrower in Colorado for having the wrong opinion? 800-288-9227. We'll talk to Jeff Gilson, a retired lawyer consultant, about Charlie Kirk being shot right before the James Show started today. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. The audio will come on when the show comes back. Welcome back to the James Show. News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. I'm your host, James Parker. Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins were the first ones to tell you that Charlie Kirk got shot. Right before the James Show started, they were on it immediately. If you're not already a fan, you should check those guys out. I mean, they just came over from our sister station. They're my new lead-in show. And they're on 11 to 2 now. And I feel the same way they do. They're happy-go-lucky guys that just all of a sudden, it got turned off when he saw this. Charlie Kirk's a right-wing conservative activist and an influencer. Goes to college campuses, debate college kids, puts it online, fun little videos of debate. He's an outspoken advocate for America, for Christianity, for the Constitution. Of course, that makes him the worst person ever. Literally Hitler in the eyes of some people. And you may have heard that Van Jones audio where he's like, hey, hurt people. And he's sort of making excuses for the guy who did the stabbing in Charlotte. He was responding to Charlie Kirk's comments on that on CNN when that comment's made. He's a guy that's in the court of public debate. He's the main player, and he just died for it. Steve sent me a close-up video from someone else who was recording it on their phone when it happened. They're not reporting that he's dead, but I don't see any way he survives that. He got hit right in the neck. Blood was gushing. He's not going to make it. Charlie Kirk. It's not official. It's not reported. But I'm just bracing for the report that he's no longer with us based on his politics. Well, that's a tough lead in for my next guest who's coming back on the James Show. Jeff Gilson, welcome back. Your thoughts on Charlie Kirk being shot and probably killed?
Well, James, just let me know if you can't hear me carefully because we're having some technical problems. I am, by definition, a liberal American. When I liked Charlie Kirk, because his main message was, we have problems in this country and we need to talk. If we do not talk, these things will flare up. And I read that he was shot on Utah Valley University campus doing what he does, which is going out and talking to people who don't agree with him in order to get them to talk back. I hope he is not dead, but if he is, there is, in a sense, no better way to go. He is trying to resolve problems, and as a liberal American, I try to do the same thing. I've always admired Charlie Kirk for that.
Yeah, man, it's tough to just comment on something that happened a few minutes ago that's this emotional, but I was having you on to talk about something that's equally emotional, the stabbing of the young Ukrainian woman in Charlotte. And, you know, it seems like there's some people in the United States that aren't big fans of their neighbors.
Well, you know, this is exactly what Charlie is trying to avoid. This is continuing violence. And it's very difficult to talk about specific circumstances. In the case of Charlotte, I'm kind of down the road. I live in South Carolina, so I'm a few hundred miles away from Charlotte, but a little bit closer than you.
A lot.
And it's difficult to talk about the specific circumstances. We're told that it was a homeless person with mental health issues. But in general, violence is not the answer. But since we are here in a moment almost remembering Charlie Kirk, I'm going to go somewhere Charlie Kirk might go, which is somewhere controversial, because I've watched the video of the Charlotte stabbing, not the stabbing itself, but the aftermath. And it is worth every listener going and watching the video afterwards. Be carefully, James, because I don't want to inflame. Realist. As a liberal American, I'm a realist. What was shocking to me was that after she was stabbed, the people around her did nothing. The reports are that she collapsed and died 15 seconds after she was stabbed. I'm not a medical person, but I don't know that someone applying something to the wounds might not have staunched the wounds. But they did nothing, absolutely nothing. And this is the point where it becomes controversial, and I pick my words carefully. Every single person around her was black. A black man stabbed her, and everyone else on the subway train that was black did nothing. I find that disturbing. These are not liberal American values. And I use liberal in the classic sense, from the same language sources, liberty and libertarian. You're free flowing, free to do what you want, provided you don't cause harm to anyone else. And this is not a liberal American value. Not only committing the violence, but then allowing someone to die either due to the color of their skin, or their age, or their gender, or some other demographic factor. These are not American values. We need a conversation in this country about many difficult things, which Charlie was doing. And one of those conversations needs to be about the communities in this nation that have different values. And if that conversation goes where it goes, it goes where it goes. And if it says, for example, the American nation has dealt the African American community really badly. We have treated them with such harm through slavery and plantation horror and segregation that there needs to be massive restorative action to make them feel a welcome part of the American nation. And that's where we go. But equally, if the answer is there are some folks who just feel that they have the right to do what they want because their great-grandparents were treated badly, then that's where it ends up. Or do we end up somewhere else, which is saying there are members of a community in this country who have a culture of violence and nihilism, but the conversation needs to be held.
Jeff, great words. I really, I think we needed that. Thank you, sir. This is tough. And look, Jeff, I mean, the only thing I even am in the gray area about what you said is, should we really be watching these videos? I mean, I want to, and you know, it kind of is motivation and it's sort of realism, but I mean, does everybody need to watch these videos? Because I mean, putting that kind of stuff in your head, it has negative consequences.
You've gone somewhere else. And let me just say, by the way, James, you know, in terms of things being isolated in incidents or not, I currently live in South Carolina. 20 years ago, I lived in Dallas. I lived in Little Five Points. I would regularly catch what was then a new subway downtown and go and party in the West End. And I never for one moment felt unsafe. What we see on that video is horrific. Now, there is a whole different question I start with road accidents where people are reporting on road accidents that have just occurred. I know of somebody whose husband left the house and they were watching the television 5 minutes later and they watched their husband being dragged dead from a car in an accident streets over. Should the press be reporting that? That's the First Amendment issue. Should we be watching? Probably not, but to be perfectly honest, James, it's one of the reasons, for instance, we watch NASCAR. No one ever watched, and I don't got an English accent, but I like NASCAR. We don't watch NASCAR to see somebody win. We watch it for the train wrecks, or for the car wrecks, rather. I don't think you're ever going to get away from that. But it is something we probably shouldn't do. I don't think the press should. I think the press should introduce their own rules about what they report and about what they broadcast. And I think we should all operate our own
All right.
morals and values.
Jeff, we got to run.
Video.
We're out of time. Where do they find you online?
They find me at Jeff Gilson on Facebook. That's GEOFF. You'll find me there. I write about what I speak about.
All right. More updates on Charlie Kirk. He got shot at Utah Valley University. It's not looking good. Details coming up on the James Show. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there. James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Not looking good for our friend Charlie Kirk. He was shot right before the show started. I've now seen some close-up video. It's a bad shot, y'all. They're not declaring him dead yet on both Fox News and MSNBC. Conservative activist Charlie Kirk shot at Utah event, but it's not looking good. Not looking good at all. So, I mean, I was going to start today's show by saying we need to have a serious conversation about where violence is coming from in this country. And you notice I only have to tweak my notes just a little bit. I don't have to take it back and be like, well, I guess I was wrong, or, well, instead of that, let's talk about this. No, it's pretty much the same conversation, isn't it? Same conversation that I wanted to have yesterday, we need to have today. We just need to have it even more. Why Charlie Kirk? Why now? Couple answers for that. Charlie Kirk is a guy who has been successful in converting young people, and he gets a lot of the credit for why this Gen Z cohort is the most conservative we have seen college-age kids and younger, high school kids, in our entire lives. Why now? Well, Charlie Kirk's been at the forefront of the very heated debate, whether it's a trans issue, whether it's an immigration issue, or whether it's a race issue. He's a guy that doesn't pull any punches and has been a lightning rod for criticism. But also, Charlie Kirk, more recently, on Sunday night, turned on his camera, did a quick little video blog, and was one of the first people to point out what a lot of people were thinking, but just, I don't know if they weren't confident or didn't have enough evidence, but he was saying the Charlotte stabbing was about race.
White Ukrainian refugee was murdered just because she was white. Everybody knows that, obviously. If a random white person simply walked up to and stabbed a nice, law-abiding black person for no reason, it would be an apocalyptically huge national story used to impose national sweeping political changes on the whole country. Instead, Megan Basham, no one seems to care when a white woman gets stabbed to the death.
Now, if Charlie Kirk's wrong, wouldn't you just say, listen, he's getting ahead of it himself here. We don't know. It may have been racially motivated. It may not have, but we don't have all the evidence. So I'm going to withhold judgment. No. Van Jones came on CNN. When was this? Monday night. And they played that clip from Charlie Kirk on Abby Phillips' show. Van Jones said a couple things.
We don't know why that man did what he did. And for Charlie Kirk to say, we know he did it because she's white, when there's no evidence of that, it's just pure race mongering, hate mongering. It's wrong. Then he says that if something like that had happened the other way, there would be sweeping changes imposed on society. Where is the George Floyd Policing Act? It didn't pass. Even when you had a white police officer murder a black man on live television, the whole world saw, there were no sweeping changes. In fact, not one law was passed at the federal level.
Yeah, take off at the federal level. Is that statement still true? Of course not. Yeah, no one made any changes over George Floyd. No, there was no sweeping reaction. There weren't riots for weeks and months on end. There weren't defunding the police campaigns. There wasn't a big upheaval and change in the patrolling patterns of cops. No, no one changed anything. That's right. We just set buildings on fire for 6 months until the election. Sure. Not believable. But he continued the criticism of Charlie Kirk. You know, the other clip you've probably heard on every other show you've listened to in the last couple of days from Van Jones, where he's sympathetic to the stabber guy in Charlotte. He's responding to Charlie Kirk in that when he says, hurt people hurt people.
It's not about cashless bail or no cashless bail. It's about the fact that we don't know how to deal with people who were hurting in the way this man was hurting. Hurt people hurt people. What happened was horrible, but it becomes an opportunity for people to jump on bandwagons. And then for someone like Charlie Kirk, he should be ashamed of himself. No one mentioned the word race, white, black, or anything except him.
You should be ashamed. Congrats. The rhetoric is getting people shot. And it's not getting people shot on both sides. The violence is almost all in one direction. Donald Trump got shot. Charlie Kirk got shot. Teslas got keyed and firebombed. Their dealerships got firebombed. Joel Osteen's church in our own backyard got shot up. Catholic schools in Nashville and Minneapolis have been shot up. Free Palestine protesters killed 2 Jewish diplomats outside a museum in D.C., made their own little the homemade blowtorch and were setting elderly Jews on fire in Colorado. Another one decided he's going to get behind the wheel of a car and run over as many people as he could on Bourbon Street. The left has a murder problem. Oh, I'll say it. The left has a murder problem. And coming up next, we're going to honor Charlie Kirk. I'm serious. I don't think he's going to make it. I'm going to give you the best Charlie Kirk soundbite you've ever heard in your life, and you will understand why this guy is public enemy number 1 to the woke left. And it just cost him his life. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I'm your host, James Parker. It's not looking good for Charlie Kirk. He was shot at Utah Valley University. The only new info I have is Fox is now reporting that the shot came from around 200 yards away. The scene is all clear now. We now have helicopter, or this might be a drone footage of the scene now, but it looks like to be sort of a grassy amphitheater. About the size, the Dos Equis Pavilion. It's all clear now. They got everyone out of there. Charlie Kirk was doing his thing under a tent with the microphone, entertaining a crowd of what looked like, I don't know, it's kind of hard to tell. That could be 2,000 people. Shot. Hit him in the neck. Blood all over the place. He's not been declared dead, but it's not looking good. Tell you what, let me take a couple calls and then... There's this 5-minute clip. Is that okay if I play a 5-minute clip of this guy? Because if we did lose him, this is what I want him to be remembered for. I played it on the show, not in its entirety, but in broken down in a couple clips on 2 different occasions. But I don't think he's going to be with us. I think we're about to get the report soon that he's been declared officially dead. And I don't know. We'll just work through it together. There are no good words for something like this. Cassie Argyle, you're on WBAP.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I guarantee you this was a Democrat, because when they don't get their way, and that's by just any old Joe not agreeing with them, this is what they do. They can't handle it in a normal, decent, humane way. They have to kill. They have to shoot. They have to stab. Whatever they need to do to eliminate you. That just goes to prove they are the ones that we need to get rid of. It's just, what are we going to do? Just keep sitting back and just biding time as they kill off people that don't agree with them? No, we need to get rid of them, because they're the ones that are trying to destroy our country.
We need 5 more people to rise up and replace this guy. For every Charlie Kirk that they take out, there's going to be 5 more that do this. It's not going to work. Unless we let it.
I think
unless we let it work.
I think it will. And as far as the stabbing, that guy, those wussy men that were there in that train that walked away, all that tells me is that's even more reason why we all need to be packing. Because this guy got away with taking a young girl's life.
Right, and it's not a race thing, because we need to be packing, because it might be someone with the racial grievance, it might be someone with the gender grievance, it might be someone with the Palestinian grievance, it might be some flavor of lefty. I know, but I'm saying it's not just confined to that. It could be someone shooting at our kids while they're trying to have mass. It could be someone who's upset about the environment. Whatever it is, it's a flavor of leftism, and we can't police it for them. Jamie, Hickory Creek, you're on WBAP.
Hey, James. I'm going to put blame where it actually falls. It falls on the politicians, and it falls on the media. Because realistically, I mean, every time there's something going on, within 15 minutes, they're out there projecting their BS and telling everyone that doesn't pay attention to anything that it's their fault.
You know what I don't like about that? I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm saying if you just focus on the politicians and the media, then a lot of guilty people are going to escape unpunished, because it's not just them. It's all the people in academia. It's all the trolls online who pass this stuff along. And when I say trolls online, I'm not talking about some disparate third party. I'm talking about, I don't know your specific situation, but like your sister-in-law or your old roommate or some of your college friends or that witch that your best friend married from school, or I don't know. There's a lot of people who embrace this hyperbole that Charlie Kirk is literally a Nazi, that James Parker and the people on WBAP are literally Hitler. And the hyperbole is getting people killed, and they're not stopping. You thought they would stop after Trump got shot, but they didn't. And so it's going to keep happening until they get called out. You know what? Calling people Nazis should be viewed like calling people the N-word. It's just something we don't accept in society. It is an insult that goes too far, and it shouldn't be accepted. And you could say, well, sticks and stones may break my bones. Well, yeah. Well, now it's getting people hurt. Now it's getting people killed.
Exactly.
Love it. All right. Thank you, Jamie. 800-288-9227. If you want to jump in, we now have a couple lines open. But let me squeeze in one more call. And then you're going to hear 5 minutes of the best Charlie Kirk clip ever coming up in the next segment. Andrew, Fort Worth, you're on WBAP.
Hey, I wanted to call to say I find it very odd that the left has this thing going on for like gun control, violence, and all that stuff, but it's mainly them that are hurting our right wing politicians, people, and just innocent civilians. I don't see why. I don't see them like on CNN saying anything about Charlie Kirk or that lady that got stabbed in great detail like we do. I just find it very sad. You know, it's not right.
Well, yeah, and they didn't call for knife control when the lady got stabbed. They didn't call for gun control after Trump got shot. They're probably not going to call for gun control after Charlie Kirk got shot. Good observation. Another good call. Charlie Kirk shot at Utah Valley University just moments before the show started. You heard it first on our new lead-in show, Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins. And you could see those guys happy-go-lucky like I am. It just, boom, sucked all the oxygen out of the room. Because, you know, Markley, Van Camp, Robbins, me, we're kind of adjacent to Charlie Kirk. We go out sometimes with a microphone and try and get audio from people in the street. I stopped doing that. You get enough threats and you think, you know what, I've got 4 kids. I don't need to end up getting beat up or stomped or killed or stabbed or, you know, even if I just like get punched and I fall and hit my head on the concrete, maybe I'm a vegetable after that, or I have some sort of brain damage, or I can't do my job as well. And it's not worth it. Charlie Kirk's gone out there facing the danger, facing all kinds of threats, and it just cost him his life. You'll hear the greatest 5 minutes of Charlie Kirk coming up next, and you'll understand why some of these people want to take him out. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. I'm your host, James Parker. Charlie Kirk shot, Utah Valley University. He hasn't been declared dead yet, but from the close-up I saw, I don't see how he survives that. If he does, it's a miracle. If he does, then thoughts and prayers really do work, because there was a lot of blood, and humans only have about 2 liters at any given time. And I saw most of that come out of him before he even hit the floor. It's bad. Don't watch it. Don't, unless you just want to get ginned up and have your day ruined. Don't watch it. But this is a string of violence that just keeps happening. Gavin Newsom just tweeted in the last hour, the attack on Charlie Kirk is disgusting, vile, and reprehensible. In the United States of America, we must reject political violence in every form. Well, it's not coming from every form. It's only coming from your side, sir. And I don't know what flavor of left it's coming from, but it's all coming from one side. Whose baseball practice got shot up? Is it a free Palestinian or a pro-Israeli person that ran through the crowd on Bourbon Street earlier this year? Or blowtorched some elderly Jewish neighbors in Colorado, or shot the 2 Jewish diplomats? Was that a free Palestine or a pro-Israel person? Did angry Christians, go shoot up a trans drag show, or did an angry trans person go shoot up Christian schools? A couple of them in the last 2 years. Which side is the violence coming from? Anyone get shot at a Tea Party rally? Did we lose 6 DART police officers here in Dallas at a Tea Party rally, or was it a BLM rally? Yeah. So why Charlie Kirk? I'm going to play you why Charlie Kirk, because this guy has been running around dismantling the narrative. He's been really effective in reaching the younger generation, so much so that Gen Z is the most conservative college-age cohort you've seen in your entire life. And it's for viral videos like this. At one of the events, just like the one he was at today, someone came up to the mic and they challenged him. How dare you say America's a Christian nation? How could you say that? And they gave their little evidence about, they were atheists and whatever. It was only mentioned in the Declaration 4 times. And his response to that, it's 5 minutes. I'm going to play you the whole thing. It's fantastic. You need to listen to every second of this. And if you want a copy of this, it's online. Go find it. Pass this around. But this is why Charlie Kirk was in their targets.
Remember that we were a collection of states and colonies, and you need to read the state constitutions before anything else. 9 out of 13 of the original states required you to be a Bible-believing Christian to serve in government at the time of the founding. You could even in actually, 13 out of 13 required a declaration of faith. 9 out of 13 required you to be a Protestant, except Maryland, which was Catholic, which still required a declaration of faith. In almost every single one of the original state constitutions, Pennsylvania included, they had, I profess Lord and Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior in the original state constitutions. So you remember, we're a collection of states before that. Secondly, 55 out of 56 of the original signers of the Declaration were Bible-believing, church-attending Christians. You asked about common law. So common law is inherited from Blackstone, who was Christian. A common law is an outgrowth of the scriptures. So let's go to 3 principles of common law: presumption of innocence, due process, and jury of your peers. All 3 are biblical principles. So, and all wrapped into the ultimate biblical principle that you shall not favor, which is in Leviticus 19, right before the most famous part of Leviticus 19, which is that you should love your neighbors yourself. But before that is that in the administration of justice, you shall not favor the rich or the poor, which is the idea of blind justice. We get that in the West, which is incorporated also in the New Testament ideal. Neither slave nor Greek nor Jew, you're all one in Jesus Christ, which we get the idea of human equality. These are all biblical ideas. They're not Enlightenment ideas, which is they kind of get conflated at the time. But more importantly than that, they say that God was only mentioned 4 times in the Declaration of Independence. Well, that's a big deal, okay? Laws of nature and nature's God. The last paragraph of the Declaration reads as a prayer. It says, we appeal to the supreme judge of the universe. Who's the judge of the universe? Jesus Christ, as it says in Revelation, that Jesus will judge the earth on his throne. So in the Declaration, they were praying to Christ our Lord as a prayer very specifically. Thirdly, as I said on the stage yesterday, Deuteronomy was by far the most quoted book, religious or non-religious, in the time of the founding when they were putting together the Constitution, more than John Locke, more than Montesquieu, more than Blackstone. So the book of Deuteronomy, which talked about laws, customs, traditions, it was Moses' farewell address. as he's about to say goodbye, say, hey, good luck in Canaan, guys. Here's how you should set up your form of government. But finally, and most importantly, let's look at actually what the founders said. John Adams famously said the Constitution was only written for a moral, religious people. It was wholly inadequate for the people of any other. The body politic of America was so Christian and was so Protestant that our form and structure of government was built for the people that believed in Christ our Lord. One of the reasons we're living through a constitutional crisis is that we no longer have a Christian nation, but we have a Christian form of government, and they're incompatible. So you cannot have liberty if you do not have a Christian population. So that's just a surface level belief. So then they'll go to the First Amendment, which has two parts of the First Amendment which get conflated. First of all, separation of church and state is not in the U.S. Constitution. That is a single letter that Thomas Jefferson wrote in 1807 to the Danbury Baptist Convention in Massachusetts, assuring them that the government would not come after the church, okay, which is the opposite of what they would say. However, that was then resurrected by the Warren Court and the Burger Court in the 60s, where they said, hey, all of a sudden we're now going to make this as if it's the Constitution. It does say in the Constitution two things, which is the Establishment Clause and the Free Expression Clause. The Establishment Clause is that Congress shall make no law prohibiting the free exercise thereof. What they were most worried about was a Presbyterian or a Anglican or a Quaker type religion taking over the federal government. Instead, it was that there is not going to be a state-run religion or a state-run government. Did you know that one of the first acts of Congress was taxpayer-funded Bible printing and distribution? Did you know that there were church services held in the Supreme Court building as late as the Jackson presidency in the 1820s? But going back to this idea of separation of church and state, and again, I could riff on this ad nauseum because it's just so ridiculous, right? Is that it's not biblical because first, it's not biblical. It's not constitutional because you go a layer deeper. People that even say that, do you believe in separation of morality and state? Nobody does. So all laws are a reflection of morality, and all morality comes from somewhere. There is no such thing as neutral morality. And we believe what the founders believe because they put it in the halls of Congress, they put it in the Supreme Court, and they put it all throughout the country, which is that the Decalogue, the Ten Commandments, is the core morality of how a society and a civilization should exist, right? The Ten Commandments of every person. And finally, and this is the kicker, if the founding fathers were not Bible-believing church-saying Christians, why did they put Leviticus on Liberty Bell? Not John, not Psalms, not Proverbs, not Genesis, Leviticus. Most Americans can't spell Leviticus. Leviticus 25:19, proclaim liberty throughout the land of which you are in. It is one of the most sinister, most unsubstantiated lies that does not come up against any sort of academic scrutiny. This idea that founding fathers were a bunch of Enlightenment common law deists. The reason they hate it is because the reason they must say this is that if we actually go back to our Christian roots and we go back to where we once were, it's America's best hope for revival and for a great future.
See why they had to get rid of him? He's not dead yet. I'm seeing rumors that he's in stable condition, but that's not that. This is Twitter rumors. I don't see how he survives this. But the rumors are looking better than when the show started. That's for sure. Charlie Kirk shot just about an hour and a half ago, Utah Valley University. We'll continue coverage with this on the James Show. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Now you're home for Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins. They're usually funny, offbeat guys, but today they were on top of it. They were the ones who told you first, or at least told me first, about Charlie Kirk getting shot at Utah Valley University. If you're not already familiar with him, give him a shot. You'll love him. They're very much like the James Show. They're on 11 to 2 on weekdays right before me. But Charlie Kirk shot at Utah Valley University. It is not looking good. The close-up video looks awful. I was expecting him to actually by now I was expecting to get the news that he's been declared, it's officially dead, and they've notified the family, and they have a time of death, and the justice of the peace filled out the paperwork. That hasn't happened. Seen some rumors that he is stable, but those are just Twitter rumors. Who passed me this? Jamie, what is wrong with people? He sent me a screenshot of Charlie Kirk's Wikipedia page where some editors have already declared him dead. It's like, you bunch of ghouls. You bunch of evil ghouls. We have a father and a husband who is fighting for his life, got shot in the neck on the receiving end of politically motivated violence. Assassinated is what it should be called, is what it will be called if he doesn't make it. And you guys are already dunking on his Wikipedia page? Absolute ghouls. Hey, Left. This is on you. This is on everyone who stands by when half the country's called Nazis. This is for everyone who stands by. And even if you don't say it yourself, the fact that you don't shout these people down, because you would shout down your friend if they were saying the N-word in public, wouldn't you? But you don't shout them down when they call half the country Nazis, half the country literally Hitler, half the country, they're a threat to democracy. We're the threat to democracy. It's not looking good for Charlie Kirk. I hope he makes it. And really, for you people, especially MSNBC, CNN, left-wingers, political activists on the left of any stripe, you better hope to God this guy lives. Because if he doesn't, you just made one hell of a martyr. And you think we were ticked off after Trump got shot, or after the Charlotte stabbing, or after the ICE ambush in Alvarado and Brownsville, and the chucking of bricks, the assassination of a Dallas cop last year? You don't want to see what's going to happen if this guy doesn't make it. Let's go to the phones. Oh my God, some of y'all have been waiting forever. Sorry. Bill Pottsboro, you're on WBAP.
Yeah, this is why the left screams about gun control, because they're afraid we're going to act like they do. If all of us Republicans and conservatives, ultra-conservative, I'm ultra-conservative. Rush Limbaugh was too far to the left for me. But I'm an ultra-conservative person, and they're afraid that we are going to act like them. That's why they want to take the guns. If we acted like them, there would be none of them left. We don't do that. We vote them out of office. We sit there and listen to Nancy Pelosi run her mouth and Chuck Schumer run his mouth for 40, 50, 60 years and do nothing except try to vote them out of office, try to put candidates out there that will get them out of there, and then they continue to spew their garbage that create problems like this. They're the Nazis. They're the ones that don't want us to have the freedom to choose whether we drive an electric car or a gas car. They're the ones that want to make sure that we don't have guns. They're the ones that want to make sure we can't have gas stoves. Not us. Not us. And I believe that we need to be as responsible as we can possibly be. We should recycle. We should do everything we could possibly do to save this planet and to do the right thing. But it does not need to be legislated by a bunch of people in the government to do that. We should just want to do that, and I believe that the Christian people do. This is just ridiculous. I'm so tired of listening to the left just spew their garbage over and over again when it's them that's the problem.
Well, I
don't understand it.
They don't want to have the conversation because it's a conversation that they're going to lose. But when the Charlottesville death happened, where the guy who in his own social media feed said he's a white supremacist, when he was escaping the mob and he pulled his car through the crowd and ran over a couple people and Heather Heyer died, we didn't have to have a conversation about cars. We didn't have to have a conversation about mental illness. They rightfully identified the ideology behind the guy who was driving the car as the problem. And we've been beat over the head with it ever since. But we didn't have that conversation when Trump got shot twice.
Nope.
We didn't have that conversation with the Free Palestine lady that shot up the Joel Osteen Church, or any of the gender goblins that have shot at schools and bars across America. We didn't have it with this guy right here, Charlie Kirk, getting shot. Are we going to have the conversation out? Leftism. Y'all have a problem with violence. Y'all have a problem with politically motivated violence. You need to do something about it.
The only guy that's saying anything about it right now is Gavin Newsom, who thinks he's going to be. Well, I guess Nancy Pelosi came out and said we're praying for him too. But the bottom line is this: you know what? 15 seconds after they say it, they're smiling or drinking their champagne or doing whatever they want to do.
Well, then he's doing the both sides thing. He's like, well, and I condemn political violence on from any side. Well, it's not coming from our side. Thank you very much, Mark Little Elm. You're on WBAP.
Boy, what a day. I just want to say a couple things real quick. I agree with that gentleman, and I agree with that lady that called earlier. And what you said, there need to be 4 or 5 of us. And what I believe is that on the moment he was shot, there should be a time where we all get together and we go out in our front yard and we say, I am Charlie Kirk. And a lot of people should say, I am Charlie Kirk, because they're not going to win. And I'm so pissed right now. The Kubler-Ross chart, I went from denial to pissed. So I just have to calm down a little bit, but that's all I had to say.
No, you're right to feel that way. We're being hunted. If anyone's being hunted, if anyone's on the receiving end of politically motivated or ideologically motivated violence, it's us. And I think we're handling it pretty well. We're not going to riot. We're not going to block any highways. We're not going to chuck a brick through the front window of a Foot Locker and go get some new Air Force Ones. Because we're not the bad people in society, are we? 800-288-9227. More calls and updates on Charlie Kirk, shot at Utah Valley University. His life's hanging in the balance as we speak. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, welcome to the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. I'm your host, James Parker. Top story today, Charlie Kirk, conservative influencer, right-wing activist, shot at Utah Valley University. They're still saying shot. It's not official that he's died. I don't see how he lives. There's a close-up video of it. He's hit right in the neck, just to the left of his trachea. And I saw what appeared to be a liter of blood come out of him before he even slid off his stool and hit the ground. Now, there's reports that he still had a pulse. The internet rumors are now turning south, where people are saying, listen, I'm hearing that he didn't make it. And I don't want to give you false hope here, but Megyn Kelly, who you just heard on the James Show yesterday, was just doing a quick chat with Victor Davis Hanson and Glenn Beck, and Glenn Beck said he heard from someone who knows that Kirk still has a pulse.
I just read your tweet to the audience. Are you hearing that from people who are in a position to know that Charlie is in, that he's alive and that he's in critical?
I am.
All right, Glenn's crying, but that's 25 minutes ago. The reaction is already disgusting. MSNBC, when the news first broke, people are passing this clip around already. You know, they don't have their talking points yet. They're just going to kind of riff off the top of their neck here, kind of roll with the punches and improv as news is breaking in front of them. And you get a real ugly glimpse of what these people think when they don't have their notes already arranged.
Then lead to hateful actions. And I think that's the environment we're in, that people just, you can't stop with these sort of awful thoughts you have and then saying these awful words and not expect awful actions to take place.
Matt.
And that's.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't say hateful things that we disagree with and expect to not get shot. Really, MSNBC? Y'all have a problem. We don't have a problem. There's not a problem with political violence in this country. There's a problem with left-wing political violence in this country. It wasn't the Democrat baseball team that got shot up when they were at practice. There hasn't been any attacks on the Free Palestine movement, even when they're blocking college campuses for months at a time, blocking roads, blocking airports. Let's get back to the phones. Gene in Fort Worth, you're on WBAP.
Hey, Charlie. I'm a nurse of 38 years. I've seen the video. I don't hold out a lot of hope unless Trump loaned him the beast for the day. Because, they carry the president's blood, in the beast. So unless Charlie Kirk's got his own beast and they could give him some blood, it doesn't sound good at all.
Well, I don't have no real medical training or licensing at all. But the internet people who seem to know what they're talking about, they say that they wouldn't have even taken him in the hospital if he didn't at least have the pulse. So,
well,
is that true?
Well, they will try on a young person. They will try for hours. They will do CPR for hours, and now the paramedics have a device where it can do CPR for them, and it's really brutal. And it may not even be possible on somebody with a big wound like that. But yeah, on a young person, they'll try for a couple hours.
It doesn't look good, though, does it?
No, not at all. I watched that video. It's like, oh, you're right. It's like a liter easily came out, just what we saw in the video. And I'm going to say what everybody else is thinking, but hadn't said out loud.
Say it.
Professional hit. Professional hit.
You know what? I'm glad you said that. I haven't said that yet. It kind of does need to be said. Because if it is from 200 yards, well, I don't know. That guy that shot at Trump last year. Yeah, and it was right in the neck.
He knew what he was doing, whoever he is.
Well, if it's confirmed, we'll remember you said it first, Gene. Thank you.
There you go.
All right. Thanks for calling.
I'm praying for him.
That's all we can do.
Bye-bye.
Barbara Prosper, you're on WBAP.
Hey there. Thank you so much for taking my call. Prayers. My heart is heavy. And what I'm not hearing is the concept of deterrence. So when I was in high school, my parents said, you will be home at 10 p.m. I walk in the door at 10:02. It was not pleasant. So therefore, the rest of my high school days, I'm home by 10 p.m. So I think that there needs to be something that deters this kind of behavior. So once that guilty verdict is in, the time between then and the rest of that person's life needs to be very painful and public. So to deter future incidents, what do you think?
Yeah, and this comes up in some of these other incidences and some of these other mass shootings or whatnot. The idea that we need to bring back public execution, it needs to be swift. It doesn't have to be brutal. It doesn't have to be Byzantine. We don't have to put someone in an Iron Maiden or draw and quarter them like at the end of Braveheart. Even if it's a lethal injection, people need to see that with their own eyes, and that messaging is powerful. And for the people who are this evil or what is it? Only 28% of working age adults can read above the third grade level. They'll get the message with that. They don't have to read any complex thoughts or Enlightenment ideals. They'll see someone be put to sleep for being a criminal. And yeah, I totally agree. The deterrence, this whole being nice, being soft on crime, being sympathetic and hurt people. It's getting people hurt. Not to extend a terrible, terrible metaphor. More callers and updates on Charlie Kirk. In fact, they changed one of the headlines. Suspect not in custody is the new update. Charlie Kirk shot at Utah Valley University, fighting for his life. Still not officially declared dead yet, but it is not looking good. Stay with us on The James Show. 800-288-9227. It's News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey, homeowners, James Parker here for Rhino Shield. And look, Rhino Shield is something that everyone is going to be doing in about 5 or 10 years. Remember the first time you saw a cell phone and you're like, I don't see why anyone would ever need to have, spend that kind of money just so they can walk around and talk to people at the mall. Now everyone has a cell phone. Well, the paint's obsolete now. Rhino Shield is the technology that has replaced paint for your home. And it just does things that paint can't. You're dumb not to do it. You're making a big mistake if you don't. Because look, if you paint your house, you may save a couple bucks in the meantime, but when you have to redo it in 5 to 10 years, and then you have to redo it again after 5 to 10 years, then you have to. Who's really making a smart decision here? Because Rhino Shield doesn't chip. It doesn't flake. You're not going to have to come back and change it in 10 years. In fact, it has a 25-year transferable warranty, and it's probably going to last longer than that. It bonds to everything: brick, hardy board, wood, metal, aluminum, stucco. Your paint doesn't reflect 90% of UV rays. Rhino Shield does. It has a 6.9 R factor. I don't even know what that means, but I know paint can't do it. So if it's time to repaint your house, don't use paint. Shield your home with Rhino Shield. Go to rhinoshielddfw.com. All right. Sorry, I have to tell you the bad news first. Charlie Kirk is now reported to be dead. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I'm your host, James Parker. Charlie Kirk, right-wing influencer, conservative activist, doing an event, Utah Valley University. He was shot right before the James Show started. People were filming the event. It looked like there's maybe 2,000 people in the crowd. So a lot of people had their cell phones up and caught the moment it happened. A lot of us have seen the close-up video, and it looked bad. But it just became Donald Trump said Charlie Kirk's dead after the shooting. So now Fox News, MSNBC, they're reporting that Trump said Charlie Kirk is dead. That's where it's coming from. It looked bad. More than prayers could fix this time. And, you know, we were wanting to sit down and talk on the show with you today about how a reckoning needs to happen because of all the violence, of all the politically motivated violence, ideologically motivated violence, you know, as opposed to someone stealing a loaf of bread to feed their kids. It's all coming from one side. And I'm tired of being called, you know, Nazi and Hitler and scary and threat to democracy. Tired of being told, oh, we're on the verge of a civil war. I'm leaving this country. We're not the scary ones. We're not the ones that are shooting at the other side. We're not going to their place of worship and shooting at their children. We're not going to their events on a college campus and shooting at them. And even before the shooting, protesting and burning crap down, getting people kicked off. We don't do that. It's not anyone in a MAGA hat or a Trump voter that's stabbing random people and racially motivated violence on public transportation, is it? We're not blowtorching the elderly grandparents of our perceived political enemies like in Colorado. We're not shooting them when they come out of Jewish museums like in D.C. We're not attacking ICE officers and shooting at them in Alvarado and Brownsville. We're not chucking bricks at moving cars from bridges like in Los Angeles. We're not shooting at their congressional team's baseball practice. And every time it happens, it gets dismissed. Oh, it's just mental illness. We got to do something about mental illness. No, we have to do something about the mental illness of leftism in this country. Raven Harrison's my next guest. She's a regular on the James Show. You're kind of a perfect person to talk to at this time. We just learned unofficially Charlie Kirk is dead. I call this an assassination. Your thoughts, Raven? Raven Harrison, they didn't tamp down the language after Trump got shot and was bleeding from the ear. They didn't tamp down the language after the ICE agents got shot just down the road here in Alvarado. They didn't tamp it down. I mean, they should have tamped it down. You know, when there were some fire bombings of Tesla dealerships, they could have tamped it down after the Free Palestinian people shot up the Joel Osteen Church or the DC Museum or the blowtorch guy in Colorado. And if they don't tamp it down now, I mean, how far are they going to take this? Raven? Yeah, we got to take a news break here. That was great. I appreciate it. RavenHarrison.com is her website. It's a tough day. Thanks for a good 7 minutes there, Raven. Appreciate it. All right. We continue the terrible news. Charlie Kirk shot and killed, assassinated at Utah Valley University. More on the James Show coming up. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Well, sad news on the James Show. News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. I'm your host, James Parker. Charlie Kirk's been assassinated, Utah Valley University, just minutes before the show started. First half of the show, he was struggling for his life. And then Donald Trump, for some reason, was the person that broke the news. He put on Twitter, not even 30 minutes ago. The great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie. He was loved and admired by all, especially me, and now he is no longer with us. Melania and my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife, Erica, and family. Charlie, we love you. So there it is. Man who was killed for sharing your political beliefs. It's dangerous to be you now. It's not dangerous to be on Team Blue, though, is it? Any anti-Team Blue violence happening? Anybody getting shot in the neck on their side of the aisle? I might just want to shut up and go to the phones. 800-288-9227. Mike in Weatherford, you're on WBAP.
Hey, bud. I used to tell people we were going to have a class war, the haves against the have-nots, but man, I've changed it. It's going to be just a good old-fashioned civil war with, wealth, religion, or anything, or color, or it's not going to play a part in it. It's going to be about your political views. And the sad thing about it is a person the side that's going to win it. Well, there's not going to be a winner, but the side that's going to prevail is a side that's willing to take that extra step or go that extra mile and to do it. And I'm afraid on the left, it's going to leave a vacuum. They're going to have terrorists from other countries come in like they've done before and be within their masses. And the left, I guess, doesn't have a lot to lose. I do. I mean, if I assault somebody or whatever, I'll go to jail, lose my job, my house. And man, I like my house, but I think the side that's going to win is the side that's going to willing to put out that extra effort, not to prove a point, but to maybe clean up or fix this problem. And like Kyle Rittenhouse, he did what he had to do, and everybody chastised him for being wrong, for being a killer or murderer. Well, somebody comes up to my truck, with a skateboard and beats on the window and throws bottles of urine on it and rocks and bricks, and I pepper spray them, I'll go to jail. That's not right. I mean, I don't know the answer to it. I mean,
yeah.
And when you look at social media, it's bent so far to the left, whether it's NPR, Facebook, Twitter, X, or it's bent so far to the left in our actors. Hell, they all got Peyronie's disease of the mind, of the brain. So, I don't know. I mean, what can you do when you got people on Facebook because you disagree with them say, no, I don't agree. They print your name on social media. They tell everybody shots to your boss where you work. They send notes to all your friends and terrorize them. Well, and they look up your address, and they follow you home, if you honk the horn at them. What can you do? I mean, you can't be afraid. You can be aware. But it's like William T. Sherman said, if war is a remedy or enemies have chosen, let them give them all they want.
Yeah, so, look, there's not going to be a civil war. There's not. I mean, they think guns are scary. If there is a civil war, how long is it going to last? 4 minutes? I don't even know how to shoot the ones that do have guns. Thank you, Mike. Retta in Waco, you're on WBAP.
Yes, sir. I kind of disagree with you on the gun thing. Texans can shoot just nearly as well as anybody else. It hadn't got a thing to do with the guns. It was the damn Democrats that Waters has been talking about killing people. Why hadn't her butt in jail? Why hasn't she been arrested? Had you and I done that, we'd have been in jail. And those GOP people that are cowards and spineless and are really Democrats, they're going to be out of office.
Well, I don't think Maxine Waters should be in jail. I don't think there should be a legal punishment. I think this should be policed the same way we police the N-word. If anyone came out and they said the N-word, we would all agree that's horrible, that's beyond the pale, and people like that shouldn't be allowed to have a platform to spew such terrible sentiments, right? Well, that's how we should treat it when MSNBC and CNN call half the country Nazis and sexist and bigots and homophobe and racist. Racist is a horrible pejorative. I mean, that is a dehumanizing adjective to put on another person because, you know.
No, sir. When you tell someone to go out and get in their face, put them down, you're inciting.
Well, look, there's a little gray area in that because Charlie Kirk was a person who went out and he didn't get in their face, but he went to their campuses and, allowed them to have a face-to-face conversation.
Did he ever say put them down?
Hell no, he didn't ever say put them down.
No, he sure didn't. He stood up
didn't.
for God and he stood up for country. So, no, Waters needs to deep down in jail. She really needs further down in jail, but we'll just stay there.
We just,
but you know what? People are tired of this. We have done God's work, but by gosh, you know what? God doesn't say that you keep turning every time. Is there going to be a civil war? Hell no, there's not going to be a civil war. There's going to be a political war. And the Democrats just made him a martyr. I like to listen to him. I not knew him, but I knew his work. But by gosh, now, what they did, no. If they don't, I hope they don't.
Well, my big hope here is there's a bunch of people who are living in a gray area. They're on the fence. They don't know where they fit politically, but they see this and they know who the good side is and they know who the bad side is. And it's the bad side that's pulling the trigger, and it's the good side that keeps getting shot over and over and not retaliating.
And I'm getting sick of hearing about mental illness. I worked mental illness for 25 years.
Yeah.
Sometimes not just because they got mental illness doesn't mean they're going to go out and kill somebody. No, they don't.
Right. Hey, if it was just mental illness, one of them would be a right-winger at some point, wouldn't there?
You would think.
All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Red, I got to run. We're going to take a quick break. I got some great calls lined up. Two lines are open, 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. I feel better after talking to Retta. I think some of these other calls are going to make you feel a little better, too. Stick around on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. I'm your host, James Parker. Sad news, Charlie Kirk has been assassinated, Utah Valley University. Conservative activist doing one of his little campus events, got shot for having the wrong point of view. Sharing your political beliefs is now, I don't know, an executable offense to some people in our society, it would appear. My next guest, Matt Chalmers, welcome back to the James Show. I was just hoping that you could talk about Charlie's wounds and his likelihood for survival, but when we booked you, we didn't know that he was going to be passing away. That looked like a bad shot. I mean, it took him an hour and a half to finally admit he was dead, but it looked like he was gone before he hit the floor, Matt. Yeah, and so I've heard, is the rule of thumb correct that the average human being has about 2 liters of blood in them at any time? Yeah, he's a 6'5" guy. So, man, in a situation like that, what takes him so long to call it and make it official? Well, damn it, Matt. I wish I had more to talk to you about, but I was just optimistic at the beginning of the show, and I guess that's all I got for you. Yeah, a couple thousand at least. Well, when you say it like that, we call it a murder if someone kills me. If someone kills a politician or a political activist, then it's called an assassination. If someone kills someone based on their religious ideals, he's called a martyr. So he's a little bit of both. He's a martyr and Dr. Matt Chalmers, thank you for joining us on this tough day. We'll have you back on soon for something a little more lighthearted. All right. Thank you. Julie, Grand Prairie, you're on WBAP.
Actually, I'm from Granbury, but that's okay.
Okay.
I want to know. I want you to know, first of all, I'm absolutely heartbroken. Charlie is a good man. We follow him, and it's just really sad. But you had a caller earlier that said something needs to be done, and I'm going to say she said she wanted to say something that doesn't get said. Well, I'm going to tell you. You talked about the public transportation situation. The gentleman today, they just need to be lined up. We know they did it, and give an old-fashioned firing squad to show people that this has to stop. These people are allowed to have their opinions. Charlie, as has been said, was political, but he was also a Christian man, and that's one reason why so many people followed him, loved him, appreciated him getting out what he did to these young kids, because they're not getting it anywhere else. But why do we have to go through a trial, waste of money? Why are we going to put them away and feed them, clothe them, and house them for the rest of their lives when they're taking away good people simply because they don't agree with them? Go back to an old-fashioned firing squad and get it done.
Right. And, the Christianity is a big part of it because, you put that in the context of the shooting that happened in Minneapolis and some other attacks on churches, the Joel Osteen church attack that happened here in our own backyard in Texas and whatnot. We have several angles on this. We have a problem with left-wing violence. We have a problem with anti-Christian violence. We have a problem with anti-conservative violence. Whatever the flavor is, you're being shot at. You're being hunted. Act accordingly. Coming up next, a friend of mine who is a friend of Charlie Kirk is going to join the show, Tim Young. Give his thoughts on the assassination of a political martyr, Charlie Kirk, today at Utah Valley. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there. Welcome back to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. As this turned into the Charlie Kirk Memorial Show. You know, I played my favorite Charlie Kirk soundbite earlier, and it was 5 minutes of him explaining how this is a Christian nation. And I had a few people email me, like, can you send me that clip? Sure, I'll send you the clip. It's the least I can do to remember a guy who lost his life today, right before the James Show started, for the crime of holding the exact same political opinions as you. That was his only crime. He believed what you believe. He spoke out about it. Cost him his life. My next guest, Tim Young from Tim Runs His Mouth. Welcome to the James Show. Now, you're in this influencer circle. Didn't you know Charlie Kirk? Hadn't you met him on a couple of occasions? I forget how young he is. Only 31. I feel like he's been on the scene for, 10 years, if it's been that long. But look at what all he accomplished by the age of 31. His life is so effective and persuasive and changing that it cost him his life. We're talking with Tim Young from, Heritage Foundation and about 8 other projects, but I follow his show on Twitter. If you're not familiar with it, you'd love it. So what do we do now? People are saying there needs to be a reckoning. Well, people were saying that after Trump got shot last year. People were saying that after the anti-Christian attack in Minneapolis a couple weeks ago. People were saying that earlier this week after the stabbing in the Charlotte train. Are we just going to run our mouth, or are we going to do something this time, Tim? Exactly. Yeah, I mean, what do? We just go shoot Rachel Maddow now? No, that's not going to make things better. Because the problem isn't even really with the people in the media or the politicians that are saying it. It's that a big chunk of our neighbors are still believing the crap that comes off MSNBC. They actually believe it when they're told half the country is Nazis and literally Hitler. And I think the problem is the common Team Blue voter in your own neighborhood more so than the people on TV. Does anyone pick up the mantle? Charlie Kirk had a pretty effective niche there where he goes to college campuses and debates students and sometimes professors. And I think that's been very influential. I think it's been effective. And if that goes away just because he got shot, then I think the shooter wins. Well, he has your job. You're a political influencer and activist. You're a guy whose platform is based off social media in sort of a democratic following, more so than being platformed by some giant corporation. You're a guy who shares the political opinions that just got him killed. Tim Young, Heritage Media fellow, comedian, host, speaker. Uh, I follow him on X more than anything else. Tim runs his mouth is his handle. Thank you very much, Tim. Sorry for your friend losing a friend there. Terrible day. All right, we'll continue with a few calls of people lined up who have some strong opinions they want to share with you about the assassination of the martyr Charlie Kirk today. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, football fans. Football continues on Thursday. There's a Thursday game with the Commanders against the Packers, and you can take that game. If you're a football fan, you were going to watch it, you want to add a little bit of spice to it, download the Prize Picks app, make a lineup of 2 to 6 players, and then you can do it again. You can do it for college on Saturday. You can do it again for the pros on Sunday, and then you can do it again for the 2 Monday night football games that are coming up this weekend. James Parker here for the Prize Picks app. Look, and I'll give you one of the max discount squares. They do these little promotional things where for this week, for the game for Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift's boyfriend, the statistic they have on him, 0.5 passing yards. So you hit more on that, and if he gets at least 1 passing yard, then you get that square. You make a lineup of 2 to 6 players, and you can win up to 2,000 times your money. If you're new to Prize Picks, you can take advantage of the promo code and get $50 on us. Download the Prize Picks app, use promo code WBAP, and you get $50 in lineups with your first $5 lineup. So download Prize Picks, use promo code WBAP, get $50 in lineups with your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. I'm your host, James Parker. Charlie Kirk's been assassinated today while speaking at Utah Valley University. He was shot in the neck for doing what he does, just going out and setting up a microphone at a table and debating anyone who will come up, extolling the virtues of, some people say he was a conservative activist. Some people say he was animated by his Christian principles. But it's just the general enlightenment and thinker debates that a lot of people on the right have, because they're intertwined. The Judeo-Christian worldview, where we see individual rights, where we see natural rights endowed by God. He got shot. He got shot for it, for his thoughts, for his political beliefs. And chances are he got shot for being outspoken about beliefs that you hold. So congratulations. Your thoughts are now grounds for some crazy people to shoot you. Let's just end the show today with all phone calls. Tony Kaufman, you're next up on WBAP.
How are you, sir? I don't have to ask that.
Terrible.
I appreciate you taking my call.
Yeah.
A lot of thoughts and things to say, but I'll just put it out there that we need to pray fallen into. We obviously need to pray for Charlie Kirk and his family and his precious babies. And this is hard for me. We need to pray for our enemies. We need to pray for the left, for those who are attacking us. And just remember, this is not a battle between conservative or liberal or Republican or Democrat. This is a battle between good and evil. And we all just need to come back to Jesus. Thank you for taking my call.
Well, you're right, but we're not the ones who need that message. The people that aren't listening to WBAP are the ones that need to hear that message. You're so right, Tony. This is David in Wichita Falls. You're on WBAP.
Hey, James. Good to talk to you. Hey, I blame the psycho that pulled the trigger on this. We know there was something wrong with this guy. He hated Christian. Maybe there's a lot wrong. But, when you're talking, these public people are talking in front of large crowds. I don't know if we've learned anything from the assassination of the Trump bill. We've got to have some ballistic glass in front of these guys and behind these guys, maybe. It's just you're setting yourself up. Let's say you have 3,000 people in the stands. 90% of the guys may love you, and there could be 10% of these people that actually hate your guts. Another thing is, was there any drones flying around with the security team? These buildings, were they checked out? I work with country boys that can shoot people shoot things at 200 yards with no scope. 200 yards to me is fairly close with these weapons we have nowadays. And just to be standing up in front of people that could really hate your guts without ballistic glass in front of you, on the side of you, or even behind you. It's just to me, it's a weak point in the whole thing. Now, do we want him to be in metal or anything? No, but it's just we're in the times that you're just going to have to be prepared for all of these things.
I don't like that. And I'm not saying you're wrong. If I was the next Charlie Kirk to take his place, I might take your advice here. But we shouldn't have to wear a suit of armor to get on a college campus today. This country of ours shouldn't be so politically divided that one side thinks you're literally Hitler and is looking to take you out for sport. No, we shouldn't have to bubble wrap ourselves just to go have a political debate with a microphone. But he did have security. Even if he was wearing a bulletproof vest that day, he still dies. It hit him in the neck. Jack in Dallas, you're on WBAP.
Yes. I hope Trump is listening. He needs to get the U.S. Marshals on it and FBI and the CIA on it immediately so they can't do no changing on it, nothing coming up missing, and just crucify whoever did it. Even the one, find the money, follow the money, and whoever paid for that, they're gonna go to prison for life.
I hope so. We know the manhunt is still underway. We don't have this guy in custody. We thought we did at the beginning of the show, but now everyone's reporting that no one's in custody and a manhunt is happening. But Jack, you're right. They didn't lock down the scene after Trump got shot. I mean, they were squirting it off with a water hose like 4 hours after it happened. We don't know anything about that. What was his name? Crooks.
That's why I say Trump got the power. He should send everybody after him.
Right.
U.S. Marshals, everybody.
I
want him caught. I want him back here, and I want to know where the money comes from before you do anything to him.
That's good thinking. Yeah, Jack's right. Lock it down. Lock this scene down. Don't let them be hosing it off, sweeping it under the rug. You know, Ruth, the guy that was going to shoot Trump at his golf course in Florida, is having all kinds of court cases. And you're not getting the updates on that, are you? It's like they don't care. All right. Thanks for sharing a horrible moment with me. We'll have a little happier show tomorrow. Stick around. Mark Levin's coming up next. I'm James Parker. This has been The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.